In this vlog, I'm going to cover like what's been going on in my head lately, and why I don't really upload videos of gang stalking. Now, I do have a couple of pretty good videos that I recorded earlier today, and I don't really know if I'm going to upload them, but I guess I should because it would make sense for me to do that. But the reason why I don't really want to continue making content for this channel is because I just get the feeling that this is just this huge waste of time. And it made sense for me to do everything I could in order to fix what we can all agree is a grievous wrong that's being done to me. But as I go, like as life continues on, I realize that there's nothing I can do to fix this wrong because nobody cares. And if people do care, they're not going to do anything to help. So like, if things are going to get better in life, or for people in general, lots of people have to care. Lots of people have to be willing to do something in order to make things better. So that's just how life is. So like, it doesn't matter how messed up what's happening with me actually is. I don't have support, and I would need a lot of support in order to fix this problem. I would need a lot of support. That's never going to happen. So I'm just going to go through life being wrong, and that's just it. Apparently there's nothing I can do about it. And I wanted to do something about it because it made sense for me to want to do something about it. Like, I guess in life, people get oppressed and people are mistreated, and, people overall just do each other dirty. And that's just something that maybe a lot of people have learned to live with, and they don't really give it a second thought. So like with me, I was all about fixing problems, trying to make things better for people. But what I realized is that people aren't invested in fixing other people's problems. So, I mean, let's take the community in general. Everybody knows I'm being oppressed. Everybody knows I'm being mistreated. I think that for the most part, even if they weren't involved, but they are involved, but even if they weren't, they would just be like, well, that's not my problem. So that's it. Like, well, yeah, you're being oppressed. I'm not being oppressed. So it's just not my problem. Who cares? So like, so I think that what happens is that we have in our mind that everybody is like this justice seeker or wants to make the world into a better place. I think the average American just doesn't give a fuck about anyone else's plight. If it doesn't affect them, they don't give a fuck. So, I mean, I was sitting here just thinking to myself about the situation. I was like, well, even if there were people who weren't involved in it, most likely they just don't give a fuck because what's happening with me doesn't really affect them. So they don't give a shit. So they would just be like, well, yeah, this guy's being oppressed, but how does that affect me? And they'd be like, well, it doesn't. And if I did something to help him, that could affect me negatively. So if you put those two things together, they're just going to be like, fuck them. It would be a lot easier for people to be like that than it would be for them to say, oh, wow, this guy's being wrong. I should definitely do something about it. You see, it's just, people are kind of pragmatic overall, and they're just not going to give a shit. And that's it. Like, so, I mean, I just, just this whole thing where I wanted to be motivated in order to bring about some sort of change and, change the situation for the better and bring awareness to it. And I have brought awareness to it, obviously, but changing it is more than me providing content and, on YouTube and, giving people a lot of feedback about the operation of shit. So like, the people they're hiding in plain sight. You could say that the stalkers, they hide in plain sight. Like they're right in front of you doing gang stalker shit, but it seems like they're just normal people going about their lives. They have a motivation for what they do. We know that. And I'm involved in it. I think the best thing I can do in this situation is not make content. Is to simply deny them whatever they're after. That's it. So that's why the channel is not important to me anymore. The channel doesn't even fucking matter. Like, I can make videos every day and it won't change a fucking thing. That's just the truth. The channel never mattered. The channel never mattered. Like, I made this channel because I wanted to, you know, help other people in my situation, but the channel never actually fucking mattered. Nobody, I seriously doubt anyone was actually helped by the, you know, by the videos I made. And if anything, it simply enabled the gang stalkers even further, because then, you know, now that you know, I'm recording them, it's like they can, you know, use that to their advantage. You know, they can sort of, you know, do more street theater and shit. You know, it's kind of like I'm paying attention to them, and they can actually use that to their advantage. So, in a lot of ways, I kind of feel like my best option would have been to pretend that it isn't happening. To be honest, I had a problem ignoring it, because I don't think that we should ignore oppression or like bad shit like that. Like, I don't think the right attitude is just to pretend it doesn't happen. I think that that's kind of like the attitude that most people have, but it's the wrong attitude. On the flip side, if you did pay attention to it and you found yourself alone, like you were the only person who actually gave a shit to try to do something about it, and let's say you went in alone. Well, if you go in alone, you're pretty much fucked. So there's two ways of looking at it, okay? The first way is to say that you have a moral obligation, or you should just, if you're a decent human being, you would try to do something to make things better, because you would want to do that and it would be the right thing to do. Now, that's the first way of looking at it. The second way of looking at it is if you actually did give a shit enough about another man's plight in order to put yourself out there, and nobody backed you, nobody helped you or supported you, and you were on your own, well, you're just going to get fucking slaughtered. Like, that's the equivalent of you going into Nazi Germany with one handgun and taking on the entire Nazi army simply because you thought that the Nazis were evil and they were doing all this evil shit and you wanted to do something about it. That essentially, that'd be the equivalent of you going in there with a handgun and trying to overtake the entire fucking Nazi regiment, okay? Like, you're taking the whole fucking, every Nazi and Hitler by yourself with one handgun. So, like, if you don't have support, you can't do shit. That's the whole point. So if put yourself in that situation when Hitler took over to Germany, and everybody started converting over to Nazism. As wrong as that shit actually is, how much sense would it make for you to try to topple the Nazi government by yourself? If you couldn't raise an army of people to back you, you're gonna go in there and they're gonna just gun your ass down, and that's the end of that. You're just gonna fuck yourself up, and it would have been completely pointless that you did that. So, like, but then you feel like you should do something. So I think that the problem that people in my situation have is that we want to do more than what we can actually do. So there are ways to fight, but you have to be smart. Like, you can't take the entire Nazi army by yourself. So you do only what you can do. Only what you can actually accomplish is what you can do. Like, since I'm only one person, I can only do so much. And that's just how it is. So as far as awareness goes, that makes sense if you believe that you can actually get support. If not, if you keep engaging with the gang stalkers, they're going to get the upper hand. You have no idea how many times me trying to expose them has actually backfired, and I ended up doing more damage to my life, and it didn't really accomplish anything. So I think that, like, at the very beginning, I was under the assumption that people didn't know about it. So it made a whole lot of sense for me to reveal it. After it's been revealed, there's no telling how things would have turned out. But now that I know that everybody knows about it, if everybody knows about it, they've already made a choice in their mind about how they feel about it. And it's not a secret. Like they said, we see this situation and we're cool with it, obviously. So they've already chosen. The choice has already been made. That's why I was like, well, they have already decided that fucked up or not, they're good with it. Okay, do you guys understand what I'm saying here? Every single person that I lived around sees this situation and they know what goes on and they're good with it. So they're good with it. So what's left? What's left? What? I'm gonna beat everybody, the entire planet or the United States by my fucking self because it's the right thing to do? That's stupid. Like, what the fuck? There's nothing you can do about it. Once everybody decides that shit is okay, that's it. I mean, you have to resist in your own way, but you can't go out and just be like, I'm taking on the entire fucking country and winning and all that kind of shit. So the point is that when you really think about it, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me to keep attacking gang stalkers. Like, fighting gangs. That makes no fucking sense. None. There is no way. There's no way. It's not going to do shit. The only thing you're going to do is take away the little bit of fucking pleasure and enjoyment you have in life. Just fucking wipe it clean. Because the fact is, if you know that everybody knows and they're good with it, then that's the end of that. Like, you will never stop this shit by your fucking self. And everybody's aware of it. They don't care. So that's it. That's why I kind of want to tell you guys that, because I don't know where your fucking head is at. I'm simply telling you how the fuck it is. That's why with me, I'm like, well, this channel was a huge waste of fucking time. It was a huge waste of time. It didn't accomplish anything, nor did my anger. And I was all pissed off that I was getting fucking screwed in the ass every fucking day. This whole shit is fucked up. I was all pissed over it. Well, who gives a fuck? The fact is, everybody already knew, and they're good with it. If they're good with it, it's pretty much this game fucking over. If the people that you live around are good with your fucked up situation, it's game fucking over. Now, you're gonna have to figure out a way of living with that shit, is basically the point. Because you don't have a fucking choice. Like I said, the people, if people did not know about your fucked up situation, then maybe you would have had a chance of stopping it. If everybody knows about your situation and they've just basically said, that's fine, it's fine that that's happening to you, you have no choice but to try to make peace with that shit, because that is just, there's nothing you can do about it. The only way a situation like this stops is if you have support. I mean, a lot of support, a lot. Like, at least maybe a third of the people you live around. I mean, you'd have to have some major support. Like, unless the people, like, let's assume that there were a couple of good God-fearing people. Well, if they were willing to sacrifice a lot to help you, they can help you. Technically, anybody can help you. You would still be getting gang stalked, though. I mean, they could do little shit here and there. Anybody could be a hero, technically. But if you're talking about making the whole operation just stop, like to the point where nobody is oppressing you, that would be pretty hard. So, and most people are not going to sacrifice enough for you to live comfortably, you know, in this situation. Like, they'd have to sacrifice a lot. Like, if one person wanted to change your situation, they'd have to do a lot, like a whole lot. Like, I don't know, like take you under their wing or some shit, or something along those lines, and just be like, you know, I don't know, yeah, take you under their wing and, you know, protect you like a child. Like, if it was one person, they basically have to take you under their wing and protect you like you were their fucking child, man. They would. They'd have to, you know, go places with you and, you know, give you a place to live and shit. And you know, I mean, they'd have to go pretty fucking far, because outside of that, the gang stalkers are they're gonna fuck your shit up. There's nothing you can do about that. You can't stop all of them, and you definitely can't stop them if the fucking people that you live around, all of them, are allowing them to do all this shit. Like, they can be anywhere. They can go anywhere. They can go anywhere. They can do whatever the fuck they want. They can fuck with you, follow you around, wait for you, wait outside your home, just all sorts of shit. Like, you can't fight all that by yourself. So I think that the overall message that I want to send is that as fucked up as this situation is, if you don't have the support of the people that you live around, there is not one fucking thing you can do to change your fucking situation. And as fucked up as that fucking that deal is and that you got in life, there is nothing you can do about it. And that's why, you know, like, I just was like, well, I might as well just go back to, you know, the attitude I used to have, and just be like, well, you know, no point in me spending the rest of my life angry or trying to be angry so that I have the motivation to fight if it's a futile effort, if it won't change anything. So if you guys have like a different perspective, I mean, I love to hear what you have to say, but that's my 2 cents on it. And with that said, let me go ahead and close.